It is. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. I am on the road. I am, obviously, you can see, I don't have my familiar background and all this is blurry. For all you out there tripping, I know about that. Wow. I am actually outside on a patio. And we're going to do this with Ann LeFlore on trusts. Part 17, no, part 17, part 19, 18, hell, I've lost track. I believe we were on 17, 16, 17, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Here we go. That's where we're at. Part 18, Ann LeFlore on trust. Here we are. Today is Monday, October 24th, 2022. And I want to thank each and every one of you for participating in this video series, 24 parts. For those of you who've taken the trust class, I want to thank you very much. And for those of you who are really participating and eager, I want to thank you again for doing that. For the volunteers who have stepped up and taken some administrative roles, thank you too as well. I mean, sincerely mean that. There's been some things going on in the background, which you may or may not know about, that I am going to address very soon. And it is one of the members in the community, and I think they should be excommunicated from the community for their dishonor, their bad faith, their unclean hands, and lack of integrity. And basically liars, cowards, cheaters, thieves. I said all. I did. I said that. I got you. Mr. Integrity. I'm coming for you, buddy. You're in my sights now. I got you zeroed in. And you can't run and you can't hide. And you are the next Chris Hauser and Anna Von Reitz on the Fearless Floyd Show. Welcome to the show, bro. I'm going to take you for a ride, just like I always do. And if you'd like to prevent any of that, hey, LA Fitness, Hollister and Tidwell on 290 Northwest Houston. Go there, ask for the manager, and tell him to call Fearless Floyd and have him come up to the gym. Be sure to bring your mouthpiece and your gloves. And you may want to bring a mat, because I am going to knock your ass out. If I ever see you, I'm going to knock you out. Hands down, knock you out. I'm not even going to say a word. I'm just going to knock your fucking ass out. Yeah. I said that. And you know I'm talking to you. You know who you are. Exactly. And I'm coming. Bet on it. You found the right one. I am the right one. You did. Yeah. And I'll be right back with Ann LeFlore on trust. Part 18 of the 24-part series to teach you how to create a trust, operate a trust, and go out and capture these other trusts and reap the benefits and rewards of capturing those trusts. And there she is, folks, the illustrious, the famous,
Hi, Tehuru.
Ann LeFlore.
Welcome again from Tahiti.
Yeah. Hello from Tahiti. All right, here we go. Ann LeFlore on trust, part 18 to 24. And I've already given the introduction for the day's date and everything
18
else.
18 to 24. I thought it was 1 to 24. Oh, yeah. Today we're on 18.
Of 24.
I thought you said 18 to 24.
Oh, no, we're not doing them all today. No. All right. And as y'all see, I have a black background. I have a black shirt on because I am sitting on the patio in an undisclosed location. No, really. I'm in Webster, Texas. But I'm sitting out on the patio enjoying this nice fall weather. And that's why it looks black behind me. I'm not emulating Mr. Crickets. So with that, do you have anything you want to add before we jump into this, Ann?
Nope, you guys, we're doing trust classes. We're on number 3, almost finished. We're going to take a week's break so we can try to get some advanced classes made and then come back again to take our class. So we're ripping and roaring, and we've got a lot of people that are just starting to get into trust. And it's the way to go, guys. It is the only way to go. Want to get out of this public mess? Get into the private.
Yeah, and I have to concur wholeheartely with that avenue. Absolutely, because it seems to be nothing else is working out there. And all you gotta do is look at the wealthy. How do they keep their generational wealth? Look at Trump. Trusts. Everything's set up.
And it's not state national, you guys. Everybody says, oh, this guy and that guy's a state national and they're rich. And I'm like, no, they're not, you guys. They would never in their world become that. All they want to be is a natural person. And what they do is they live in the private. So you guys don't know what's going on. And all you do is hear public rumors. So don't always believe the public rumors that are out there floating around.
Absolutely. You and I need to get together tomorrow and substantiate a time and date and what the curricula of the advanced class is going to look like.
Oh, yeah, I need to write that, don't I?
Well, let's just get a framework. I mean, you don't have to write it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
That way I can put it out there so people can look forward to something aside from class.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, I keep getting asked about it and I keep saying, well, I need to talk to Ann. I need to talk to Ann. So yeah, we'll getting rid of that redundancy. I'll have that cured tomorrow, kids. So pay attention. All right, here we go. There's part 18. There we go. Let me share my screen.
Allez de suite. Allez-vous de suite.
There we go.
Oh, cool. There we are.
Trust, part 18. Trusts and trusteeships, how trusts were operated and how they operate today.
So what I'm saying is trusts used to work different in the past than how they're working today. So we're going to learn how a trust used to work, or how they created trust and what they used to be like to compare it to what trusts are today.
All right. Panel 2, and kids, I have not proofread this.
I think you're going to be surprised. I think you're going to be surprised with this one. Who knows, but you could get some major surprises, but you also could get some nice ones. Hopefully there isn't too many shocking ones, misspelled words or stuff, because 2 languages on a computer changes everything sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's part of the quirkiness of our video.
But it's the wonderful part of it.
Yeah. Just that. Okay. Institutional trusteeship. We are now seeing the change in the nature of trust assets from reality to financial assets. We are also seeing the change in the function of trusteeship from stakeholding to management. This has brought about the change in the identity of trustees. When trusts were first established, the trustees were unpaid amateurs that basically were statesmen who lent their name and honor to a conveyancing dodge. Back then, every well-to-do man was a trustee.
Okay, so when trust first came about in, like 1100, 1200, somewhere around there, it was a necessity. It had to do with the wars and it had to do with protecting land. So at that time, a trust was mainly for us, putting a landholder's land inside of a trust. And they just gave it to anybody and everybody who had prestige to hold on to their deeds so they could pass them down.
There you go. And a conveyancing Dodge is not a Chrysler Plymouth Dodge automotive truck. Just to clarify. All right.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like if somebody was going to think it was a car.
Yeah. Okay. Today, the modern trustee is a fee-paid professional. Their business is centered around carrying out trust business. Trusts are now thriving on their expertise in investment management, trust accounting, taxation, regulations, and fiduciary administration. In the United States, these institutional trustees are commonly corporate fiduciaries that are profit-seeking enterprises, and most of them are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We know them as companies like Wells Fargo Bank or the Northern Trust Company.
Okay, so basically these are the people who are holding on to the irrevocable trust. They're not holding on to revocable trust. They're the ones who are growing the irrevocable trust and growing the assets inside of them for the beneficiaries. So on the trust that they're handling, the grantor can only grant the trust. That's all it can do. From then forward, he can't touch the trust. He can't even, run and operate the trust. And he set it up for his beneficiaries. So he has to hire a company to come in and manage his trust for him.
There you go. Would you, JP Morgan Chase, they're also a trust as well, right?
Right. There's quite a few of them out there.
Yeah. Those are known as your tier one banks. Jace,
Yeah.
JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and HCBC.
Right. So just keep in
Panel
mind, Wells Fargo on the public side is a piece of crap. But if you get on the private side, it's actually a really good name.
Yeah. Yeah, they have actually all of Chase, their private banking's really good too. Today, the corporate fiduciary brings to the business of trust administration not only special skills, but all deep pockets. Under the liability of trust law, the trustee places its substantial capital at risk in the event that the trustee misperforms its duties. Let me change that real quick to their duties. And that the trustee, there we go. This exposure of the trustee's capital informs the modern trust deal. Modern,
yeah.
Modern. Okay, this exposure of the trustee's capital informs the modern trust deal, effectively ensuring the beneficiary against many potential harms and forming part of what the settler buys when selecting a corporate fiduciary. The liability risk creates a further incentive for the trustee to perform the trust deal faithfully.
Okay, so believe it or not, you are literally choosing a person to handle your assets and to handle your trust, to invest the money, to make the correct decisions, and to grow your assets inside of your trust. So if they screw up, you guys are going to lose a lot. So you really need to, when you set up these irrevocable trust, you really need to make sure you're understanding who is taking care of your assets and how you want them managed. And that's all set up in the corpus of the trust.
Exactly. The body of the trust.
Body corpus.
Yes. The first trust. Originally, the law of trust made no provision for the compensating trustees for the compensating of trustees because the gentleman trustee serving as a family stakeholder required no pay. Legislation was needed to overcome the presumption against trustee compensation. For Wells Fargo or Northern Trust, the administration of trusts is a business supported by ever more aggressive marketing.
Okay, so way back then, basically the only thing you had as in your trust was your piece of land that you owned. there wasn't a whole lot of assets. There wasn't a whole lot of money. There wasn't a whole lot of anything that you would put in the trust. You basically, made your territory. You had your acres of land and you wanted to protect it. So you put them in the trust and you asked somebody to protect the trust or to your trustee, the deed of your land to protect it. So when you died, you made sure that your kids got it, an inheritance.
Right. Parentheses, there you go. All right, moving on to panel 6. Now, when you select a trustee, you better select somebody that's trustworthy, somebody that you can trust absolutely 100%. Institutional trustees serve pursuant to a compensation deal, sometimes negotiated for the particular trust, sometimes based on the bank's published fee schedule, and sometimes dependent on the legislated default law. Another virtue of the corporate fiduciary is longevity. Corporate fiduciaries are institutions of perpetual succession. If we appoint a family member as a trustee, we need to arrange for the consequences of their mortality. We must also designate successor trustees or design a mechanism for identifying potential successors and hope that the persons proposed will agree to serve.
So you guys, what a lot of people, especially people who are well-to-do, will literally hire a fiduciary company, because that means that they have a chance that their account just rolls over and rolls over and rolls over. If we decide to choose a friend or a business partner and we set him up as our trustee, because in the irrevocable trust, we do need 2 trustees for that trust that are not family members. So we have to be careful who we're going to set up for those accounts, because what we're doing is we're handing them everything. And we don't have, the only say we have in those trusts is what we put in the body corpus of it. So they're the ones that are going to be managing that money. So we have to be very careful with it. Revocable trust, we manage it. Irrevocable, we do not manage it.
Exactly. And as Ann and I were having a private discussion earlier, when it comes to probate, yeah, you better find somebody trustworthy. And it's not always.
Yeah. It's not always what you think it is.
No, yeah. Safeguarding from disempowerment. The trust relationship of necessity puts the beneficiaries of a trust at the peril of the trustee's misbehavior. The changed character of trust assets has brought about a significant change in the way trust law protects beneficiaries. An older scheme devoted to restricting trustees' powers has yielded the surprisingly modern set of rules that trust lawyers call the law of fiduciary administration.
Okay, so look at it. Back then, what if you gave your land deed to your best friend, or to maybe the banker, or maybe to some statesman that you thought was prestige and honest, and he would hold on to it, and he turned around and sold your land underneath, behind your back. So when you died and the children came to recover their land, oh, it wasn't theirs any longer. So back then there was no recourse for what happened. The banks would go through it, and they would say, okay, well, the compensation is he has to give you this much money. Well, the kids don't want the money, they want their ancestral land. So it was a big problem back then. So as trusts have grown over the years, and there's been more responsibility, more people are using trust. Trusts are used for more than just land, they're used for everything. Their lives have to change. They just cannot leave them the same.
Right. Panel 8. In the first centuries of the trust, when trustees were mostly stakeholders for ancestral land, they were kept tightly in check by being disabled from doing much with trust property. The default law supplied no trustees powers. Trustees had only those powers that the trust instrument expressly granted, which were typically few. since the trustee's jobs was simply to hold and then to convey the remainder to the remainder persons. Let me repeat that kind of tongue twister. The trustees had only those powers that the trust instrument expressly granted, which is the corpus, which were typically few, since the trustee's job was simply to hold and then to convey to the remainder persons, which would be the beneficiaries, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The trustee has no right, unless express power is given, to change the nature of the estate as by converting land into money or money into land.
Correct. Back then, trustees had one job and one job only. You handed them the land title. You told them what was going to happen with it. It was going to be split between your oldest two sons, or it was going to be a dowry for your daughter. If you only had a daughter, whatever it was going to be, they told them what it was. And all they did was hold on to that title until you died. And then once you died, they gave it to whoever was supposed to be receiving it at the end and gave instructions. This is your dowry, or this is the land that you two brothers are going to split. And you have to, share it between yourselves, whatever it was.
Right. Yeah, the world was a different place back then. Didn't have a land recorder.
Nope.
Indeed, the modern trustee still needs to look to the trust instrument or to remedial trustees' powers, legislation, empowerment. Indeed, the modern trustee still needs to look to the trust instrument, the corpus, or to remedial trustees' powers, legislation for empowerment. That would be statutes.
Right, correct.
In the absence of legislation, a trustee has no power whatever by virtue of his office. His only powers are those expressly or impliedly conferred to him upon him by the terms of the trust. And that's a quote. So is there a reference for that quote?
No.
No.
It was in a trust book that I was reading.
Yeah. I didn't. I was expressing whether or not it was your quote or from an outside source.
No, it was a quote. It was I was, doing some studying on what trust used to be like and what trusts are today. Oh. And it was in an old trust book. It was like in one of those, ones that you can get from Gettysburg or something like that. I forget the, site I downloaded it from, but it was like a trust book from 1781 or some stupid thing. Yeah, it was pretty old. And it was, had all these little quotes in it, telling how trust used to be with all these little pictures, of little stickmen and, farm wheels and stuff. Right. It's pretty funny. Yeah. But it had some good information in it.
Yeah, which brings up a good point that I was discussing earlier with one of our trust class students. Just lost my train of thought. I'll get back to it. I totally lost my train of thought. What were you just talking about?
One of the old books.
Oh yeah, the old book. Okay, yeah. As Ann teaches all of you all about the trust operation and trust law is pretty much static across the world. It's different jurisdictions are going to have different laws and stuff like that, but for the most part it's uniform. And as you can tell, Ann still researches about trust, even though she's a facilitator and educator about trust. She still goes outside, she still researches, she still reads, and she still uses other bits and pieces to incorporate into her knowledge, her research, and her experience developing and teaching trust. So by all means, do not for 1 second think that Ann LeFlore's trust instructions are the be all end all, because you, you're going to continue to learn. This will never, ever, ever stop, because nobody, even Ann, will readily admit that she is not an expert in trusts. She's
They change so fast. That's
exactly.
why you guys, I mean, seriously, you have to understand how they used to work and the modernization of them, how the laws started to incorporate, how they started to grow, and how people are using them today, and how corporations just work in trust, and how everything is trust. So if you don't understand where they came from and a simple trust, then you're not going to even understand how complicated they are today and how they've gotten that way.
Right.
It's an evolution. You have to understand the evolution.
Right. And what you're getting here in this 24-part series, as well as a trust class, is a fundamental understanding of what a trust looks like, how to operate it, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just the bare basics, kids. You're going to continue to learn, educate yourself. You know, of course, I tell everybody, go get you a Black's Law Dictionary, preferably a 6th edition, Burton's Legal Thesaurus, so you can start understanding some of this legalese that they throw out there, corpus, Latin, body, that you're going to encounter, so you actually understand or overstand what you're reading. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And you know, going back to the roots of trust, that's digging deep. That's going down that hole. All right. Panel 10, a strategy of maximum empowerment displaced the former law, initially in professionally drafted trust instruments, and then in modern systems of default laws, such as the Uniform Trustee Powers Act. And there you go again. Uniform, what I just mentioned earlier. It's uniform.
Mhm.
Create these certain laws like the Uniform Commercial Code. There's a bunch of uniform codes out there, and they do that for a reason, because it is static across jurisdictions. These statutes empower trustees to engage in every conceivable transaction that might wrest market advantage or enhance the value of trust assets. The purchaser who, quote, has noticed that the trustee is committing a breach of trust in making the transfer, unquote, is unprotected against the beneficiary's claim to recover the trust asset or its proceeds.
So guys, before, if you tried to take a trustee to court, the court had no clue what was even happening. They just ruled on it by what they thought was correct, even if it wasn't correct. And you had no remedy back then. So if your trustee lost your trust, gambled it away, lost the deed to your land, gambled it away, or did whatever he did back then, drank it away, burned it down, whatever happened, and your deed got lost, there was no remedy. The only way the court could give you remedy was to give you money. And that wasn't going to bring your land back. Your land was gone. So back then, all trusts were like land trusts. They were land deeds and land trusts. So basically, as trust grew, started to develop and more people started to use the trust, they had to start making a uniform code that trustees had to follow. And that's where we come in with the equity. And that's where we come in with the clean hands. And that's where we come in with the laws of equity.
Exactly. Panel 11. Statute has now set these disabling rules out of force. Nominee legislation in every American state has overcome the main earmarking requirement, which made, quote, it difficult to use corporate stock as a trust investment, unquote. Trustees are now authorized to register trust holdings of corporate stock in a fashion that conceals the trust interest. Furthermore, the Uniform Fiduciaries Act and the Uniform Commercial Code and the Uniform Trustees Power Act provide that the purchaser is no longer under a duty to inquire into the trustee's transactional authority merely because the purchaser has noticed that the seller is a fiduciary.
So guys, there we go again. This all deals with corporations. A lot of it goes in through corporations. And this is what it's all about. So if we are going to buy corporate stock, We can move the corporate stock into our personal trust under the private side. So it all stays in the private. But before, everybody questioned the transactions of everybody. Once all these codes came in, once all these acts came in, once Congress stepped in and says, okay, hold on, we're starting to get really complicated. We're starting to have a lot of things going on with trust. So think about 1900. In 1900, everything was still handwritten. Everything was still, you know, registered in ledgers and books, and it was a lot easier to take care of. And sometimes ledgers and books, you know, weren't recorded correctly. So it started to make everything a little bit more difficult. And oh my God, I'm so sorry. There's a cat coming across the river. Sorry about that, guys.
Cat coming across the river?
Well, he's coming across the bridge, and he does like to be in the river. We do have cats in our river. So
Really?
I guess they like the chickens, yeah. Hang
Okay.
on really quick. Let me try to get these dogs calmed down.
Yeah, go ahead. We have 17 panels in this, and we are on number 12. And while she's obviously calmed down the dogs, I will read the next panel. Trust and
Sorry
contract.
about that, guys.
Trust and contract. The contractarian account arises from two fundamental attributes of the trust. First, the trust deal, the deal between the settler and the trustee that creates the trust, is voluntary. No one can be made to accept a trusteeship. Thus, the trust, like the contract, is a consensual judicial.
Yeah, jurisdictional. It's a judicial
Is it judicial?
relationship. Yeah, it's like a judicial relationship. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right. This feature has been present from the formative epoch, which has shown us that trustees are a species of contracts. Okay. Formative epoch. Define that.
Formative epoch, not epic, epoch.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, epoch. It's an epoch.
That's French. And down here in southern Texas, we
It's
call
an epoch.
epoch.
It's an epoch.
Epoch. Formative epoch. Okay.
Means relationship. It's a formal relationship between two people.
Very good. You learned something today. Judicial. Yeah, that's a correct spelling. Judicial. I don't wonder why it's coming up. Sometimes these Microsoft Word does not know everything.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so what it's trying to say is, guys, you want to create a trust. You're the grantor, or what we're calling the settler, and you want to create your trust, and you need to, you know, move all of your things into your trust. So now you need to contract with somebody to be your trustee, and these are when the contracts come in. So the trustee can talk to the grantor, the settler, and say, oh, well, what are my duties? What do you expect me to do? And they'll sit there and they'll name all these things that they want you to do with this trust. And the guy says, well, you know what? I don't have time to handle a kind of trust like you have. If it was just when you died and all I had to do is, you know, hand it out and distribute it, okay, yeah, I do it. But no, I can't do that. So you have the right to refuse to be a trustee. Nobody can force you to be a trustee. Get that? Nobody can force you into a contract with a trust. Believe it or not, they do it all the time. And every contract you sign, they're forcing you into a trust contract. So literally, it's illegal to do it, but they continue to do it. And there is remedies to get out of them now.
There you go. Panel 13. The other contractarian feature is that virtually all trust law is default law rules that the parties can reject. The rules of trust law apply only when the trust instrument does not supply contrary terms. The default character of trust law has become more insistent in modern times. As the trust has lost its connection to the relativity and flexible patterns conveyancing, wow, that was a mouthful, and as trust assets and trust purposes have become more variable. Now I'm going to repeat that. The default character of trust law has become more insistent in modern time, as the trust has lost its connection to the relatively inflexible patterns of conveyancing. So conveying as trust assets and trust purposes have become more variable. These two traits, consensual formation and party autonomy over the terms, are the defining characteristics of the law of contract.
So guys, as we're seeing, we are starting to understand that trusts are becoming more than just a simple instrument that we can use. They're becoming a way of life. They're becoming what all these great corporations set up, all these corporations that run under these, trusts, and they're all sitting in there in the private, and we're all out here in the public. And so if you need something or this corporation's done something to you, you try to sue it in the public, they're so protected in the private. And that's why we've got to get into the private, because everything in the private is protected. And as long as we sit out here in this public sector, we're like sitting ducks, or we're like, on the bird shoot or whatever. Somebody, throws up a fake bird, and all the birds, start to scatter. And it's like open bird season, and they have the honey guns and stuff like that. They're just going to start shooting us down. So we literally need to get out of this public sector.
Yep, absolutely. Well,
oh, it's duck season. That's what it is. The duck season birds.
Duck season.
Yeah. In duck season, you see them, blow something, and all the birds, all the ducks start, flying
scatter
in the air. Yeah. And the hunters just start shooting them down, and then the dogs run and grab them. That's what it feels like sometimes being in the public. We're being shot down and grabbed by the dogs.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. As in contract, so in trust, the autonomy of the parties is not wholly unrestrained. There are the obvious public policy prohibitions against legal purposes. There are the obvious public policy prohibitions against trust for illegal purposes. There are the traditional definitional minima. There must be trust property and the beneficiaries capable of enforcing the trust. Furthermore, any branch of the law of gratuitous transfers requires anti-dead hand measures in trust, the rule against perpetuities, and the implicit norm that the trust must be for the benefit of the trust beneficiaries. There are also limits on self-serving exculpation clauses in trust that echo the unconscionability protections in contract. Got some words in on that one.
I told you might be surprised with this one.
Yeah, you got me orally dancing for sure.
So what we're seeing is how trusts are just advancing over the years. It's an evolution. And the more we go, think 10 years ago, would you ever consider writing a trust to protect your assets? No, you would just make a simple will, and whatever. Or maybe somebody would say, oh, you know what? They would propose to your parents. Oh, you know what? Maybe you need a living trust. And, if one of you dies, then it's a protection. And, the other one takes over, and they just screwed them all up back then. I saw the one, my parents had, it was 12 years ago. And I'm just like reading this trust document, this trust indenture. It's in a notebook about that thick, and it has all these legalese and legalize and whatever else you want to call inside of it. When you read through it, it absolutely said nothing, nothing. And so now you get to write your own trust. You get to put in the corpus of your trust, the body of your trust, what you want. You're not restricted to all this, dog Latin language that people don't understand. You can keep it as simple as you want by saying the trustee will perform A, B, C duties, A, B, C, and this is what his jobs are. His protection, or his, he needs to protect this, 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 and this. When I'm gone, the trust dissolves, and here's the splitting of the trust. You guys lay it out. You give them the permission of what they get to do. It's like before, it just sits there and nobody really does anything with it because they have no idea what to do with it.
Right. Okay. Let's break down some of these words. Definitional minima. So that would be at a minimum right there.
Yeah, it's the minimum that needs to be done.
Right. Okay, we're going to go down here. It requires anti-dead hand measures in trusts.
So when it says it anti-dead hand measures, that is talking about the old, ways of handling trust. Because when they said dead hands, it means that before, they didn't have anything to do with trust. Now they literally have to have a hands-on when they're working with trust, and they have to be able to, work in honor, and they can't just, like say, oh, got dead hands, I don't need to do anything, I can just sit here and watch the trust fall apart. No, they literally have to have hands-on with the trust now.
Right. Okay, and that's it. All the big words, kids. 15. A key distinction between contract and gift is the standard of intention that governs the transaction. A donative transfer is commonly said to be unilateral. And according, and I'm sorry, there should be no bullet point there. All right, a donative transfer is commonly said to be unilateral, and accordingly, only the donor's intent, not the donee's, is relevant to ascertaining the validity and terms of the transfer. In the world of exchange transaction, by contrast, the intentions of both parties bear on the creation and the meaning of their deal. The private trust is a donative transfer, a means of making a gift.
So basically before, you would be performing a trust. So say that I had something that I wanted to leave and gift to Floyd. So basically I could create a small trust between Floyd and myself. I could say, Floyd, I have, this set of books that would really benefit you when I'm gone. So I want to trust them to you. I'm going to give them to you as a gift when I die. And this will help you to move forward and to take care of the rest of the trust. And here's my gift to you. So this was one way that trust used to be used. And now it's another way where families can gift certain items or certain pieces of land or certain titles from themselves to their children. So these are gifting, trusts now are like gifts. You put your gifts or whatever you're calling them into the trust, and then when you die, it's like you're gifting them to your survivors.
Exactly. Panel 16, trends in contract and trust law. Prominent trends in modern contract law are making it ever easier to account for the trust within the norms of contract. Number one, the routinization, well, you get some words there. The routinization of specific performance. Number two, the growing appreciation of relational contracting. And number three, the spread of good faith requirement. Modern American contract law has undergone a reorientation in its attitude towards specific relief. Accordingly, the remedial tradition of the trust with its ready facility for specific relief no longer distinguishes the trust, importantly, from contract law.
So basically, contract law used to be contract law. Trust was trust law. So now what they're saying is they're mixing them together so that if there is something that happens in the trust and the trustee does something that is not in, equity and good faith, and he steals from the trust, we have remedies now in contract law. We can go after them. Before, beneficiaries couldn't say anything until after the grantor or the settler died. Now they can literally monitor the trust and make sure that the trustee is acting in good faith.
Exactly. And last but not least, panel 17. Conclusion. We are starting to get a deeper understanding of how trusts were created, what they were used for, and how they have developed and grown over the years. Before, trusts were a necessity to transfer your land from the father down to the son or to the daughter for a dowry, as we discussed earlier. Today, we're using trust. Have trust managers can move other assets into our trust, and we can use your assets from our trust to benefit the trust and earn other assets as we move into our trust. Okay, I'm gonna have to repeat that one. Today, we're using trust. Have trust managers can move other assets into our trusts, and we can use our assets. Okay, that's what confused me. Can use our assets from our trust to benefit the trust and earn other assets as we move into our trust. Okay, that's what got me that part.
As we move them into our trust. Yeah, it should have been as we move them into our trust.
Okay, got that. Before, the remedies for a trustee that mishandled a trust were few. Okay, hang on. Before, the remedies for a trustee that mishandled a trust were few and did not give much relief to the beneficiaries. However, today, there are a lot more remedies in trust law that protect the interest of the beneficiaries.
So see, guys, before we had trust, we put just a piece of land in the trust. That land was that was all that was in the trust. That was the only value of the trust. Today, we can move so many different things into our trust. We can use our trust to actually earn more money. We can use the assets in our trust to work out and actually buy different things from our trust. And once we earn the like interest, whatever we're earning, we earn, more money by selling, whatever we're doing, we move that into our trust. And this is what's growing our trust. So we're not just acting as a placeholder or a place to place something and hold on to it. We're actually working as a business or like a business where we can, move our assets in and out of our trust so that we can grow our trust.
Exactly. And you're going to be moving all kind of assets in there and not your toothpicks and matchsticks.
No, those are personal. You don't get to do that. You can do it in Schedule C or Schedule B. I mean, if you want to leave your favorite matchstick to your, favorite person, you can do it in Schedule B and C.
Well, back in the day when they used to actually sell matchsticks with wooden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And in prison, it was a thing that you would buy matchsticks and make crafts with matchstick houses, crosses, picture frames, etc. And some were burnt, some were stained, colored. So yeah, so when you say that, that's what that's what I'm thinking.
Well, the whole thing was, I remember those matchsticks, and I had an uncle we used to visit during the summer, and I used to love his little boxes. And what he would do is all year long, he would use up his matchsticks and he would put surprises in the boxes, and he would put it in a shoebox. And when I came to visit, I got a whole shoebox full of matchboxes with surprises in them.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else you want to close with?
No, we've got a couple more videos going on. Well, we've got 2 more that we've got set up. Hopefully tomorrow or the next day, we can get another one up. Day after that, hopefully before Friday, we'll get all 3 of these up. Then we have 4 to close. So actually we're going to have 3, and then we're going to have a closure of tying it all together. And after that, who knows where we're going. But we're going to do the 24 series to give you a good digestive system of what trusts mean. And we're going to help you digest it.
Right. There you go. All right. Well, that concludes part 18 of 24, Ann LeFlore on trust. And again, Ann, I cannot thank you enough for your grace, your hospitality, your knowledge, and your willingness to just voluntarily share this with everybody. I'm just, everybody I talk to, I just tell them I'm blown away. I can't believe it. And even the trust class for, $200, that's just, to me, there's no other deal out there that is as good, and I'm not even saying that because it's me. It's just looking across the board at what these other people are charging and making and getting away with is mind-boggling.
Well, I mean, seriously, I have gotten private messages from people in Telegram literally saying how much they have appreciated these video series that you and I are doing. And I've had more than one person say, look, I just spent $3,500 for a weekend trust class. I learned 0 from that class. And just watching your first 3 videos, I learned more than I did for $3,500, and you just gave it to us for free.
And kids, this whole presentation that Ann and I are producing together, all started because she was on the Fearless Floyd Show Telegram group, and I heard her in a chat because I turn it on and listen, and I do other things, and I heard her talk, and I kept hearing her talk, and I was like, that's somebody I need to talk to. And eventually I jumped in and said, hey, I want to do some videos with you. And she agreed. And we developed this trust class. Look, neither one of us are in this for the money. I have a job. I make $35 an hour base. Usually, like yesterday, I was making time and a half. And all I did was sit there pretty much and wait, and then climb up some stairs and pull up a rope twice, stick a pole through a piece of steel, and I'm done, and go downstairs and push some buttons. And that's what I did. That's what I do. I don't really work that hard, but when I do work hard, I do work hard. But I have money. Money doesn't make me. Money doesn't break me. Ann and I are not doing this for the money. We're doing this for the education of all, so you guys can actually really disassociate yourself from being the corporate slave and get out of the matrix. Okay?
Guys, yeah, I'll tell you guys, a lot of people want to know who I am and what I do. I am a data recovery specialist. I am a researcher. I am Bonds for the Win. I write manuals that sell for $500 a piece. So for me to sit here and just give the trust classes away, it's what I want to do. It's what you guys need to understand. It is not about the money. It's about the knowledge. We're not going into the future to line our pockets full of gold fiat currency, because guess what? It's going to go bye-bye. So we don't care about this fiat currency. We care that you guys understand when we walk into that future, we're walking in the private, and we're walking on the land, and we're no longer drowning in the ocean.
Right. Yeah. Or lost at sea. You are lost at sea.
Well,
so,
I did throw you a life preserver, but I don't know if you caught it yet.
Yeah. But, I just wanted to express to everybody that, if I charge you a fee, okay, for a donation, and I solicit that, it's not because I need the money. Okay. It's because I'm not going to work at my professional job, and I have to take away, not take a call, and do this for you guys. So I need to get compensated for that time for me not going to work. Okay. And I have a very flexible, weird, obtuse schedule that, I don't work 9 to 5. I work yesterday. I went in at 11 and then I went in at 9 o'clock at night. So it's kind of like working a double, but I get a 6-hour minimum in, 4-hour minimum out. So I get 10 hours at time and a half on a Sunday. So I make really, really good money for what I do. Sometimes I'm making double time. Sometimes we even make more than that, depending on the client. So this isn't about a money thing, and don't ever think it is about a money thing, because I give stuff away time for free that I could easily charge money for. And that's not what I'm about, because I've been through the whole guru thing. I paid $1,600 for a trust and really didn't get anywhere. I got a, very good trust that's covers a lot of ground. So I understand what it is to feel like you've been ripped off by paying some guru to teach you or get materials from, or even when they give you the materials, they don't teach you how to operate those materials. So now you got this nice fancy binder with all these pretty papers and pretty fonts, and you don't know what the fuck it means because nobody taught you. So that's what I did, because I was in a hurry. Okay. I did all this right before COVID started. When COVID hit, I was like, okay, man, I'm on a mission. I got a bunch of money. I can afford to pay all these fees, filing fees, and, I can get a guru and all this shit. And I screwed up, and I'm guilty. I raised 2 hands to pontificate my guilt. So don't feel ashamed if you've been taken like that before. You're more than welcome to come join our community and get as much as you can that we can willingly give away free. Okay. We'd like to give it all away free, but we just, it's time. Time is money. It really is. It really is.
It's not just that. You guys, literally, Floyd has got to pay all these fees and stuff like this to run the calendars. He's got to pay all this stuff to get the different, editing software. And it just doesn't come for free, guys.
Nope.
So we do all these videos that are absolutely free. But when he charges for the class, it's for his time too. And not only that, but the very first trust class, you get a trust package of 17 documents that literally would cost somebody $4,000, $2,000, $3,000 for somebody to do that for them. We give it to you for free, and we teach you how to do it yourself. So it is an exchange system we're working on. We're not going to do it for you, because if we do it for you, you guys are not going to understand how to use it. Nope. It's better to learn how to use it and do it yourself. And hands-on is always better than hands-off and just hand something to somebody and they look at it, because now at the end, they're bugging you 24/7. Well, what is this and what is that? Because they have no idea what you did. So it's better to do it yourself.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that. No
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah. Understand what you're dealing with. It's just like buying a new car. They have an owner's manual for that car for a reason. So you can learn every little nuance of that vehicle, all the little creature comforts that they now come with. So without reading the instruction manual, you're not going to know how to use it. You're just going to get in it and drive it, right? So you didn't know it had heated seats or a heated steering wheel because you didn't read the instruction manual. So that's what we're talking about. And when you do get in a situation where you need to defend the trust and you don't have that ability to, you're going to get laughed out of the room and you're going to walk out with guilt and shame because you didn't listen to me and Ann and learn it. Trust me, that's going to happen to you. It's going to happen.
Guys, I don't want to do it for you. I just want to tell you how to do it yourself.
Yeah,
it's so much better.
Yeah, we want to teach
then
you.
It's yours. Because be honest, you guys, my situation is not the same as yours. I don't have the assets that you have, or maybe I have different property than you have, or maybe I have different living situations than you have. And what am I going to do? Am I going to write this all up and ask you every single one of your personal things, call you up 50 times? Okay, well, I need to know how much this account is worth. Oh, okay. I need to know how much that account is worth. You know, to me, that's embarrassing. I don't like asking people what their assets are. I don't want to know what they're worth. I don't care, because it doesn't matter to me. But it does matter to you guys. So you guys do need to learn how to literally just do the simple steps. And it's fun. Everybody loves the class. Everybody's having a good time.
Yeah, actually, they're on a chat right now in the trust class. Started at 8:30. Absolutely. Yeah, we have the private, the Fearless Floyd Show trust class. It's a private group. And when you get in the class, you get in this group, and it's nothing but students, and you're all learning about trusts, sharing material, developing material, and putting it all together. And they're obviously getting in a chat now, or they've been in a chat, and they're having a discussion about trusts, how to move forward. Absolutely.
Right.
Yes. We're trying to build a community of like-minded individuals who want to move forward, get into the private, out of the public, away from the matrix, and pretty much just be left alone and be able to operate.
Guys, it's so much easier just to sit back and just relax and know that people aren't going to come after you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, nobody likes the sword above their neck.
No.
Yeah. Believe me, it's a burden. It's a burden I wear well. I'm still trying to get the state of Texas off my back. Believe me, that's my goal. That's my sole goal through, you know, incorporating into this, after I exhausted all my legal availabilities. You know, somebody brought me this information about the whole UCC redemption manual thing. And, you know, I dove right in because it was allegedly a way out of prison. It didn't get me there, but it got me to here, to this point, with this knowledge, meeting all these wonderful, great, knowledgeable people. You know, for me, I wake up every day and I feel like I'm in just another world, especially like when I see myself on TV or I jump in a chat and they're watching a video that I did. It's freaky for me. It's hard for me to digest.
I met Floyd on his other group chat, and I was talking about bonds. And oh my God, everybody's like asking me a million questions about bonds. So don't get me started on bonds, because I'm part of Bonds for the Win. So you guys probably know that one.
Absolutely. All right, kids. Well, I believe we've abused enough of your time. Hopefully we've educated you and given you some integrity to drive forward and motivation. So if you're not on the Fearless Floyd Show Telegram group, go get on there. If you want to get in the trust class, go to the fearlessfloydshow.com, look for the class registration and sign up. I believe I will have the November 13th, Saturday, 5 to 7 class posted tomorrow. So you'll be able to get in and, well, actually, you know, you're probably watching this video and it is tomorrow. What am I thinking?
Not for me for a while, but maybe for some others.
Yeah. So Tuesday, October 25th, I will have it on the website where you will be able to enroll in the next fundamental basic class. Tomorrow, I will get with Ann. We will develop the advanced class. I will more than likely post those at the same time on the website. So you guys beware. I'm on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, Telegram, Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal, all under the Fearless Floyd Show. If you want to reach me, the Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. If you want to reach Ann, some of you guys have found a way to reach her. If not, you can contact me and I'll contact her and we can set it up. And also does 30-minute or more consultations, you can go to my website and hook up that. I do consultations. I have other individuals on there who also do consultations, so you can register for that as well. And with that, I think I've almost exhausted my voice for tonight. Anything you want to close with?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm
Very good.
wonderful.
He's closed twice and had a conclusion. All right, kids. Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much. And I'll see you
Hari
tomorrow.
Maru, Hari Pepu. Take it slow, take it easy from Tahiti. Bye, bye, bye.
Uh-huh. Bye, kids. Oh, yeah. Don't think I forgot. Mr. Integrity. I'm coming. And I'm going to come hard. Harder than you ever thought. So everybody out there who doesn't know what I'm talking about, guess what? You will very soon. And it's going to get messy. Bye. See you later, Mr. Integrity.